Morning, guys. So I'll be working through the solutions to these problems, and that way you can prepare for your test tomorrow easier. So I'm going to start with this A. What I'm going to do is crisscross, multiply that 4 by that bracket, and then A by that bracket. And many of you forget to multiply the denominators. So I'm going to write my solutions over here. So I have 4 into A plus 1 plus 3A divided by A into A plus 1. When I distribute the 4 inside, I have 4A plus 4 plus 3A divided by A into A plus 1. I don't have to expand the denominator because that doesn't make it any simpler. So I can just leave it the way it is. And in the top, I hope you can see 4A and 3A can add together. So I'll end up having 7A plus 4 divided by A into A plus 1. This one, same thing, I'm going to do the crisscross. For many of these, it will be easier to do the crisscross. So I have 2 times 8D, 2 times 8D, minus 3 times D minus 3, all divided by D minus 3 times 8D. 2 times 8D in the top is 16D. When the 3 goes inside, the negative 3 times D is negative 3D, and negative 3 times 3 is positive 9, times negative 3. So now I have D minus 3 times 8D. In the top, 16D minus 3D is 13D plus 9. And in the bottom, again, I don't have to expand because it's already in simple form. And I have D minus 3. Over to this one, let me do it in blue. Over to this one, crisscross. I have 1 open brackets, W minus 2 plus 1 open brackets, W plus 2, all divided by W plus 2, W minus 2. So if I distribute the ones on the inside in the numerators, I will end up with W minus 2 plus W plus 2, all divided by W plus 2, close brackets, W minus 2. Hope you can see that the negative 2 and positive 2 cross out. Then I'll have 2W divided by W plus 2 into W minus 2. And finally D, again, crisscross, 3 open brackets x minus 8 minus 2 open brackets x plus 7, all divided by x plus 7 into x minus 8. So if I distribute inside in the top, I have 3x minus 24, and then 2x, and I think that's 14, so negative 2x minus 14. And in the bottom, I don't have to do anything because I don't want to make that more complicated than it looks. So 3x minus 2x in the top, this 3x and this 2x, negative. This give me x, and negative 24 minus 14 is negative 38, all divided by x plus 7 times x minus 8. Alright, moving on. They want me to make the letter in this the subject of the expression. So in part A, this is y equals, first thing I'm going to do part A is cross multiply. So I don't have to write it again. I'm going to cross multiply, and when I cross multiply, I'll have y open brackets w minus 4n equals 3n minus 2y. So I don't even have to distribute the y here because I know they want me to make w the subject, and the fastest way to isolate the w will be to get rid of the y from this side by dividing it, because currently the y is being multiplied by this entire bracket, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So when I divide it, I'll end up with w minus 4n equals 3n minus 2y all divided by y. Now the next thing I have to do is get rid of this 4n, and what's combining it to the w is subtraction, and the opposite of that is addition, so I'll add 4n to both sides. So then I'll end up with w on its own is equal to 3n minus 2y divided by y, and then finally plus 4n. You don't have to simplify this because you've already expressed the w in terms of everything else. Alright, part B, they want me to make v the subject. So I have 1 out of u plus 1 out of v equals 1 out of f. Now if I want to make v the subject, whatever has v has to stay on one side, and whatever doesn't have v, so this 1 out of u has to go. I'll subtract both sides, 1 out of u. And I'll end up with 1 out of v equals 1 out of f minus 1 out of u. Now, before I do anything else, I need to first simplify the fraction on the right. So the fraction on the right, I'm just going to do the crisscross, crisscross. That is 1 times u is u, 1 times f is f, f times u is fu, and this is 1 out of v. So now that I have this, a very quick thing I can do is, since both of them are fractions, this is a fraction on its own, this is a fraction on its own, a very quick thing I can do is to flip both fractions, right? If I flip this fraction on this side, I can also flip the fraction on that side. What I mean is basically just take the reciprocal and say this is v out of 1 is equal to fu out of u minus f. And if I do that, I immediately get to the answer, which is v is equal to all of that. But I know that this might not be something that is appealing to some of you. You might say it's magic. So I'll go slowly. 1 out of v equals u minus f out of fu. If I want to do this the slow way, I'll just cross multiply, and then I'll have v open brackets u minus f equals just fu. If I want the v to remain on its own, I'll divide by u minus f, divide by u minus f, then I'll end up with v equals the same thing that I had in the beginning, but with just a few extra steps. So whichever makes sense to you is what you can go along with. Alright, I'm still required to make things the subject. In this case it's k. So if you look at this expression, I will need to get this 5 out of the way. And since it's division, the opposite of division is multiplication. So that 5 crosses out, and I have 5y equals t open brackets 2h plus k. I'm trying to isolate the k, so I'll divide by t, and I'll have 5y divided by t equals 2h plus k. I still need to isolate the k, so take the 2h away. I'm just going to subtract 2h on both sides, and then subtract 2h. So that my final answer is 5y out of t minus 2h equals k. And I have isolated k. In this one, I want to make t the subject. So this t needs to be isolated. Step 1, I get rid of this p by dividing both sides. I have L out of p equals 1 plus at. Second step, get rid of the 1. So I'll have L out of p minus 1 equals at. And finally, I just have to divide by a. So divide both sides by a. Divide this by a. This is all together, so divide it by a. So I'll end up with t equals L out of p minus 1 divided by a, right? Or you can write it as L out of p minus 1 all divided by a. So at this stage, I'm not requiring you to simplify this. It's possible to be simplified, but you're not required to do it at this stage. You'll see that in 9th grade. These ones, all we need to do is simplify the fractions, the algebraic fractions, and simplify the fractions. So this first fraction, I can rewrite it as 5 times 7, let me use dots for multiplication. 5 times 7 times s times t 5 times. And then the bottom I can write it as 5 times 8 times s times t 3 times another u. So then I just cross out the things that are the same. So it's 5, 5, 1s, 3 t's, 3 t's. Then what I have left is 7 and 2 t's, which is 7t squared, divided by 8s and u. And this one, 18u squared minus 30u, I hope you can see that 3 is common and u is common. Is it just 3? Actually 6 is common, so 6u is common. And if I take out 6u from here, I'll have 3u minus 5. And in the denominator, when I take out 7, I will have 5 minus 3u. Now, let me do a little bit of magic here, just for a second. So 5 minus 3u is actually the same thing as negative 3u minus 5. Why? Because if this negative is distributed inside, right, it will turn out to be negative 3u plus 5, which is just another way of writing 5 minus 3u. So I've just showed you here that that 5 minus 3 can be written as negative 3 minus 5. So instead of writing 5 minus 3u, I'm going to change this whole thing. And why am I doing all of that is because I notice that there is a factor in the top which can cancel out if I've written it the same way it is written in the top. So now that I've written it down here, I can effectively cross out this factor with this factor, and then my expression simplifies to just 6u out of 7, which should be negative, but I can put the negative up there. So that is your answer to that. This one over here, I see 4 is common, k is common, no sorry, 2 is common and k is common, so I can take out 2k and I'll have k squared minus 3, all divided by 12k squared is just 2 times 6 times k times k. So you can cross out the 2 and you can cross out the k. And your simplified expression is k squared minus 3, no sorry, 2k squared, 2. So if I took out the 2 here, I'll be left with the 2. So that's 2k squared minus 3 divided by 6k. And finally, on this one, 9ac, 12bc, 3c is common. So I have 3a plus 4b. And in the denominator, when you look at 9a squared minus 16b squared, it's a difference of squares, which is 3a minus 4b, open brackets, 3a plus 4b. We did this in, I think, the last unit. So you can expand this out and see that it will actually equal to the denominator. Now that I've seen that that's the case, this factor and this factor can cross out, and I'll be left with 3c divided by 3a minus 4b as your solution. Okay, moving on. Oops, still a lot to do. Simplify each of the following. Alright, you don't have to worry about this. They will not show up on your test, but they're not difficult. All you have to do is take out the common factor, which here is 10x squared. And when you take that out in the bottom group, factorize by grouping, and then you can do it. But for now, we can skip this. Express as a simple fraction. Alright, what I'm going to do is pause this video here and just make another part video.